What's up guys, my name is Ace, and today we're going to be taking a deep dive into all of the progression systems of Black Ops 6, including what happens when you prestige, calling card challenges, weapon camos, reticle challenges, mastery badges, medals, you name it when it comes to progression, and we're covering it here. And there's a lot to cover today, so let's just dive right into this with your base levels and prestige, and what happens when you prestige. So with this game, just a quick recap, we have our basic levels, which are level 1 through 55. And through these levels, this is where you unlock all of your class items. So your guns, your perks, your equipment, your score streaks, everything that you can use on a class setup, you unlock within these first 55 levels. On top of that, they did mention that 8 of the base operators and a selection of emotes will also be unlocked just by player leveling through those first 55 levels. And I'm not going to go through every single level individually, but I will leave this link down below. They did reveal exactly what you unlock at each of the 55 levels, which is really nice to have access to before the game launches. But once you reach level 55, if you want, you can just stay there forever and have every one of the class items unlocked for you, or this is where you can choose to enter Prestige. And this is a more traditional Prestige system. And this is the Prestige Hub, which shows where you're at in your Prestiges. And you can dive deeper into this and see exactly what you can unlock throughout Prestige 1. So you can see immediately you're going to unlock this Weaver skin. You also get a permanent unlock token, which we'll talk about in a bit, and then various cosmetics as you're leveling through that Prestige up until level 50, where you get a weapon blueprint. Now, if you decide to prestige once you hit level 55, what's going to happen is it resets your player level back to level 1, and therefore all those class items you unlocked, those will all be relocked again, and you got to go through that 1 to 55 leveling again to unlock them. Now, your base operators and the emotes you unlock, those won't be relocked. And also, something we already learned about in the past, but they reiterated here, is if you have a blueprint or skin for an item, whether that's a gun or a piece of equipment or whatever it might be, if you have that, it will permanently unlock that item through all of your prestiges, so you won't lose access to that. Even the base gun. Like if you just have a blueprint for the AS Val, for instance, which is a level 55 unlock, it's like the last thing you unlock in your leveling, the next time you prestige, you will have full access to use the AS Val, whether that's the base gun or the blueprint. Which I have done a whole video talking about this. I'm not a big fan of how they're handling that, where it unlocks the base version of the gun as well, since I do feel it sort of cheapens the system to a degree, and it also opens up that potential to essentially pay for a grinding advantage, because if you buy blueprints for things, you will permanently unlock them, whereas the people that aren't spending money won't be permanently unlocking those things because they won't have those same blueprints. So I'm not a huge fan of it, but at the end of the day, I still like the fact that the traditional prestige system is returning, and this is just something we're going to have to live with. It's part of the system. But circling back to what happens when you prestige, it will also reset your loadouts, and your lifetime stats will remain viewable in the combat record, but your stats elsewhere in the game will only show stats for your current prestige. And I kind of like the sounds of that. I want to see how this is actually displayed in game, but it also does bring up the question, where are these stats going to be viewable in the game outside of your combat record? Because in recent years, at least, that's the only place to check your stats. So does this mean that perhaps we're going to have public stats where other players can actually look into your stats like we saw way back in the day with Call of Duty? I definitely have my doubts that that would ever return, but I'm just curious to know what they mean by this. But I do like the fact that you can track your stats throughout each of the prestiges and potentially see like how you've improved over time as you progress through the prestige system. Now, as for the things that don't reset or relock when you prestige, the first thing is weapon progression. Your weapon progression is independent from the prestige system. So if I level a gun up and I unlock camos or I unlock reticles for my optics, for instance, well, the gun itself may be relocked when I prestige and I have to grind to unlock that gun again. The moment I do unlock that gun, I pick up right where I left off with all of its progression, including camo progression. Also, your global weapon builds that you can create, it won't reset those as well. So again, once you get that gun unlocked again, your weapon builds will be available to be used right away. You don't have to rebuild them. On top of that, your challenge progress and unlocks, those will not be reset when you prestige. Obviously, your store and battle pass content, that won't be reset as well. Those are totally independent systems. And then on top of that, your operator and emote unlocks, as well as zombies gobblegums, those will not be reset or relocked when you prestige. So that's essentially what happens when you prestige. You also get a new icon, and they showed off all of the 10 prestige icons. Each one is designed to represent an aspect of a previous Black Ops game. And what this means is, as you progress through the system, you'll be resetting yourself up to 10 times. But again, you can stop at any moment with this. You don't have to progress through the prestige system. Now, each time you do prestige, you will be getting a permanent unlock token. And this just gives you the ability to select one item throughout your level 1 through 55 leveling process that will be permanently unlocked, and therefore anytime you prestige from then on, that item will never be relocked for you. And I already know exactly what I'm spending my first permanent unlock token on. That's going to be the Perk Greed wildcard, which is unlocked at level 54. And that is going to be incredibly valuable to have unlocked at all times because it gives you the ability to throw that extra perk on your class. Then taking a step back again here a little bit, as you go through your prestiges, each prestige will have its own set of rewards, which I showed off for Prestige 1 already for you guys. And they give us a bit of a teaser on some of the items that we'll be seeing as we progress through other prestiges, like various operator skins or weapon blueprints, for instance. And then let's talk about Prestige Master. And Prestige Master is what happens once you hit level 55, 10th Prestige. From that point onwards, there's no more prestiges to go through. However, this is where you can start leveling beyond level 55, all the way up to level 1000, which is the maximum level. And once you do hit Prestige Master, you will instantly unlock this operator skin on the right for Marshall. This is called the Sitting Bull Reborn operator skin. And then once you get up to level 90 Master Prestige, you will get the Classified Arsenal Ames 85 animated blueprint that's displayed here as well. On top of that, as a Prestige Master, you gain access to Legacy Prestige icons. So up until this point, the icon that appears next to your level will be displaying which prestige you're in. But once you're Prestige Master, you get to pick for yourself. And once you hit level 100 with Prestige Master, you can select any one of these Legacy Prestige 1 icons to display next to your name. And that continues on through all of the levels up to level 1000. So you'll get legacy prestige icons from older Call of Duty games, and you can put on whatever one you want as long as you've reached that level requirement. Now finally, for prestiges, they just mentioned once you hit level 1000, you will become what they call a prestige legend. And once you do that, there will be classified rewards, which we won't know about until somebody actually reaches that level, and then we'll know what those look like. I assume it's going to be a very special operator skin, as well as more, maybe a weapon blueprint, for instance. And there we go. That wraps it up for all of the prestige details, and I'm personally really excited to see traditional prestige return. I can't wait to start grinding through this. Next, let's talk about calling cards a little bit. And honestly, with this, we're going to blast through it fairly quickly, even though it's a fairly long section, simply because there's nothing overly surprising with the calling card system this time around. It's pretty standard for a Treyarch Call of Duty game. So with this, you can access your calling card challenges through the Barracks tab. And with this, we have 4 different sections of calling cards. We have career calling cards, battle hardened calling cards, prestige calling cards, which you can only access as you go through your prestiges, and Dark Ops, which are the classified calling cards where you can't see what the requirements are to unlock them unless you search them up online or unless you just randomly complete a Dark Ops challenge. And Dark Ops challenges are usually big one-off events, not really grindy challenges where you have to do something 100 times. It's usually doing one crazy thing once. Now, on top of that, they already revealed this, I believe, at Call of Duty Next, but there will be 100%er calling cards for each of the modes, multiplayer, zombies, and Warzone. So if you complete all of the calling cards for each of those different game modes or game types, you can unlock this animated 100%er calling card corresponding to that mode. Although with this, it is worth noting you don't need to complete the Dark Ops challenges in order to get 100%er. And that's pretty much it when it comes to calling cards. Next, let's dive into the camo progression, because this is often a huge focus for many players out there as they're grinding through the game. And we've got a bit of a different system this time around, at least compared to many of the recent Call of Duty games. The very first thing to point out is camos are now totally separated from your weapon level. You never have to reach a certain level on your weapon in order to unlock various calling card challenges. Then it's a multi-step process, just like we're typically used to. You have like your basic camos, which they call your military camos. Then you have your special camos before getting into your mastery camos. So let's start it off with those military camos, and in this case, there are going to be 9 named military camos for each gun, and for most weapons in multiplayer, it's just going to be headshots to unlock all 9 of these. So you're going to need to get 100 headshots, it looks like, with most guns in order to unlock all 9 of these. And there will be exceptions here, most likely with shotguns, for instance. Certain shotguns will probably require like one-shot kills instead of headshots. And also things like melee weapons, for instance, it's not going to have headshots, obviously, but there will be a different path to unlock all of these. In either case, once you unlock all of those for a weapon, you then gain access to the special camo challenges. And each weapon will have 2 unique special camos that are unique to that gun, but they are universal. So once you unlock them for one gun, you can use them on any other gun as long as that other gun has also unlocked the ability to use special camos. So you do have to complete your military camos for those guns to use those universal special camos. And as far as the challenges go for the special camos, they can be unlocked in any order once you gain access to them. and they will have different unlock criteria depending on the gun. So they gave us one example here with the XM4. For the muddled special camo, you have to get 30 kills shortly after sprinting with that gun. And once you complete both of those special camos, now you can finally move on to your mastery camos. And with these, the first tier for multiplayer will be gold. And with this, unfortunately, we don't know what the unlock criteria will be to get gold. It may vary from gun to gun or weapon class to weapon class. After that, in order to gain access to the diamond camos, you have to complete the gold camo challenge on the same number of weapons in that class that the game launched with. So for example, with assault rifles, you have to get gold on 7 assault rifles in order to start progressing through diamond on your assault rifles. Then to gain access to tier 3 mastery camos, these are the dark spine mastery camos for multiplayer, you're going to have to earn diamond camo on 33 weapons in the game across all of the weapon classes. And the reason they chose 33 is that's a number of weapons that are launching with the game. Once you do that, now we can get to the final stage of the mastery camos. And for multiplayer, this is dark matter. And in order to start progressing toward dark matter, you have to get dark spine on 33 weapons in the game. And there we go. That's at least the multiplayer side of things. Keeping in mind, zombies and Warzone will have their own camos and progression paths through that. I just focus mainly on multiplayer, but it is worth noting, any of the camos you unlock in one of these modes can be used on that gun in any of the other modes. So if I unlock dark matter for multiplayer, I can use dark matter on that gun in zombies or in Warzone. Or if I get the Abyss camo in Warzone, for instance, I can use that camo on that gun in multiplayer or in zombies. Now, another thing to note here that's a little different than some of the recent years is we don't have very many universal camos that are unlocked through these paths. In fact, all of those military camos, the first stage, you're unlocking those just for that gun. So if you earn Red Tiger on the Ames 85, it's only unlocked for the Ames 85. You're not going to be able to put that on another gun unless you also grind that other gun and get through the camo challenges to unlock it for that one. And the same thing obviously applies to your mastery camos. So the only set of camos that are universal and can be applied to all guns, these are going to be your special camos, which again, you need to complete your military camos for a gun in order to use any special camos. And there we go, that's weapon camos. Now let's get into reticle customization, which I'm really happy to see this return as well. With this, for each of the individual optics, you can progress through and unlock different reticles for that optic. Keeping in mind, it's tied to the optic itself, not the weapon that that optic is applied to. So you can use and progress the same optic on a wide variety of guns. It doesn't matter as long as you're using the same optic. And with these, to unlock various reticles, it looks like they're keeping things very simple. You just have to get kills while aiming down sight and using that optic, and you can progress through a wide variety of different reticle challenges in multiplayer, zombies, as well as Warzone. There will be different reticle challenges for each of those modes, and they can be used on that optic across modes. So if I unlock a really nice reticle in zombies, but I want to use it in multiplayer, I can do that, no problem. So that's pretty straightforward and simple. Next, let's get into mastery badges. With these, not only can you earn them for the weapons that you're using, you can also earn them on equipment, field upgrades, and score streaks in this game. And essentially, they're just badges that show your proficiency with that given item or how much you use that particular item. And they give some examples of how different types of badges are progressed in multiplayer, which with these, for each individual item, we have 3 different tiers: bronze, silver, and gold. So for weapons, you just need to get a certain number of eliminations with a weapon to progress through the various mastery types. Then with the frag grenade, for instance, you need to get frag kills. With the prox alarm, you have to get kills on enemies that are detected by your prox alarms. For trophy systems, you have to intercept a certain number of projectiles. And with the RCXD, you have to get a certain number of RCXD kills. So basically just use that item as intended a lot, and you will progress through these mastery badges. And once you get to the gold badge, you will get a stat tracker attached to that badge. So with the XM4, for instance, you can see there, it shows how many eliminations you have with the XM4 in total. And other players will see not only the badge, but also that stat tracker, so they can see how many kills you have with that gun. Now this will show off in your showcase in the social menu, which I don't think too many people really interact with that much, since over the past several years, they've effectively killed off any social aspect that used to exist with Call of Duty. So more importantly, it will also show off in the winner's circle, and it will also be shown off in kill cams. So when you kill somebody, they can see how many kills you have with that particular gun by looking at your weapon mastery badge. Now, on top of those 3 tiers of badges you can get for each individual item, there's also the diamond badge upgrade if you master a certain category. So if you get gold badges for all 7 assault rifles, for instance, at launch, you will get the diamond badge upgrade, which will give you a nicer looking badge, as well as apparently a healthy XP bonus to boot. So that wraps it up for badges, and finally, let's talk about medals a little bit, which is Treyarch's thing. Treyarch really likes integrating medals into their game, which I think is excellent, and they showed off the medal collection screen, which I found to be interesting. Perhaps I'm misremembering, but as far as I'm aware, I don't think they've ever shown medals that you haven't earned yet. they're like blacked out if you haven't earned them, but you can at least scroll through and see all of the different medal types that you could potentially earn while playing in the game, as well as how to earn them. And it's quite nice. It also shows how much XP you get for earning that particular medal. So each medal will have a different XP value attached to that. And that can be very valuable as well as far as trying to maximize the amount of XP that you're earning in game so you can progress through your prestiges as quickly as possible. Now with these, they mentioned there are over 200 medals available to be earned in multiplayer and zombies. And while many of them are obviously going to be returning medals, there are also going to be several that have never been seen before in Call of Duty. On top of that, in order to take medals to the next level, they're also going to have what they call distinguished medals. And they're a curated set of medals that highlight specific skill-based feats in each medal category. And I really like that it seems they're taking medals to the next level. I've always liked that Treyarch does display medals and you can go and see how many of each medal you've earned, like quad feeds, for instance. I like that. It looks like they're pushing it a step further, and I think this is great. And that wraps it up for everything they shared today when it comes to progression in Black Ops 6. And I've got to say, overall, I'm very impressed with what I'm seeing progression-wise for Black Ops 6, especially because it's taken a step away from what we've been seeing in recent years with Call of Duty, which is the seasonal system. With all of this progression I've outlined, it's available in the game day one. You're not going to be capped at all for a season, waiting for the next season to come out so then you can continue your progression. You can start progressing through all of this literally the day the game drops, and that's really great to see, at least on my end. But of course, those are just my opinions, and I'd love to hear what you guys think about all of this in those comments down below. When it comes to progression in Black Ops 6, are you guys generally happy with what you're seeing here, or not so much? Are there certain areas that you feel are lacking with this? Just let me know down below. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.